No one puts new wine into old wineskins, otherwise the new wine will burst the skins and it will be spilled out, and the skins will be ruined. But new wine must be put into fresh wineskins. Now, in order to understand this verse, I've got to give you a little bit of historical background. Let me show you how wine was made in Jesus' day. You didn't go down and buy wine in a bottle off of a shelf in any store or marketplace. No, this is what happened. Winemakers would take grapes, and they would put the fresh grapes into a carved out piece of rock that had been covered with plaster. It was called a wine press. And they would lay the grapes down, then they'd wash their feet, take their shoes off, hike up their robes, and then they would tread over the grapes, squeezing the juice out of the grapes. And then the juice would flow from that wine press down a little funnel or pipe into a vat or a container where it would stay for just a little while, not for long, because you didn't want the bugs and dirt and so on to get into that container. So it would go into the container, and then what they would do is they would take wineskins, and they would immediately fill up the fresh wine, the Bible calls it the new wine, into a new wineskin. Now let me tell you what the new wineskin was. It was a goat. It was a goat. It was a goat that had been killed, and his hide had been tanned. The legs had been cut off and been tied up, nubs, so that it was sealed on the inside. The head had been chopped off, and the opening was the neck. And basically what you would do in Jesus' day is you would take this goat carcass that had been tanned, called a wineskin, and you would put it up in that container where the fresh wine was, the juice, and it would flow into the new wineskin, and then you would tie the neck, and this is what you had: goat skins filled with wine. This is why in Western culture we have really very little understanding of how wine was made in Jesus' day, and for that reason we don't understand some scriptures like this one. For I am full of words, and the Spirit within me compels me. Inside I am like bottled up wine. The bottle shouldn't be there. Literally, it's goat skin, new skin wine, like new wineskins ready to burst. But you see, here's what happened. When that fresh wine, which was basically grape juice, would flow into this new goat skin, the process of fermentation would begin. Now, I don't understand all the chemical changes, the alchemy of juice becoming wine. But in the fermentation, there was an expansion of gases within the goat skin. And it's like any of us that have gained weight or lost weight. When our body gets full and our skin stretches like this, it's tight, like those goat skins that I showed you hanging in the market. And by the way, that's a recent picture in the Middle East. That's wine that is fermented. And over time, that grape juice would turn into about 12% alcohol to wine. Now, let me just say a word to those of us who were raised Baptist. It's absolutely absurd to say that the wine of Jesus' day was non-alcoholic. It's crazy. But I think it's because we've established a Pharisaical system whereby we can measure righteousness and holiness based upon our externals, what we do and don't do. But you can't even understand this allegory without knowing grape juice ferments. The old wine that is fermented would then be poured by cutting one of the nubs into smaller containers. And people would drink the wine at a wedding, at a festival, at a party, and so on. Now, could you reuse the old wineskin once it had been used? Well, yeah. But you could only put old wine into it. Because once skin has expanded, the collagen has caused the skin to decay. The collagen's gone. It's been used up in the chemical process of fermentation. And so now it's very brittle skin that will burst. So if you put new grape juice into old skins that have already been stretched, the skin will burst. So Jesus is saying to the Pharisees, I've got to change the skin. There's got to be a new system. It is impossible for the kingdom that Jesus inaugurated to fit in to any Pharisaical religious system. Jesus is saying to the Pharisees, men, I'm at a party with Levi. He stole, he lied, people hated him, but I'm changing his life. You come along to our party and you say, Levi's not fasting, Levi's not praying, Levi's not like us. Men, I'm bringing some fresh wine. And the wine that I bring will burst your system. So I've got to have a new skin. Now let's apply it, and I'm done. When the Spirit of God begins changing hearts, we sometimes make the mistake, like the Pharisees, of measuring somebody else's holiness by what they do or don't do as compared to us, rather than just celebrating what Jesus is doing in their life and trusting Jesus and giving Jesus and my friend freedom to work it out within. We have a tendency when we put our religion before Jesus to make people like us, to say to the Levi's of this world, hey, you're not where we are yet. Let me tell you what you got to do. Let me tell you what you got to do. We miss it. I told you the story. I know some of you are new. Others of you have heard it. But I told you the story of the man committing suicide, driving by the church I pastored in Tulsa 25 years ago. Eric Wolf was his name. He was on his way to kill himself. He was drinking beer while he was driving to give him the courage to kill himself. And he saw a sign. Came in, gave his life to Christ. Oh, we celebrated with Eric. The next Sunday, Eric comes dancing down the aisle, shouting, jumping. His life had been changed by Jesus. And I introduced him to the church, and he had that Budweiser King of Beer shirt on. That Baptist crowd that I led couldn't believe it. And old deacon stopped me afterwards and said, hey, preacher, you did talk to Eric, didn't you? I said, about what? I knew what he meant. About what? That Budweiser shirt. Oh, no. I didn't talk to him about that. Why not, preacher? Because if I talk to him about that shirt and tell him to take it off and put on a new one, he will think his relationship with Jesus is measured by the clothes he wears. Let him have a party with Jesus and let Jesus change him from the inside out. Next week he came with a Coors shirt. He collected beer t-shirts. Sunday after Sunday after Sunday after Sunday. And one day I saw Eric Wolf before a worship service. He was smiling from ear to ear. Pastor, look at my shirt. Jesus Christ, King of Kings. Where did you get that? Oh, I found a Christian t-shirt store. And not one person made him change the externals. All we did is sit down at the party with Jesus.